Hey everybody, my name's Tyler Collins. I'm here to talk to you today about some Google traffic secrets. This has a lot to do with internet marketing, website optimization, digital media. It's really exciting for me because I've been doing search engine optimization and search engine marketing for a very long time, probably as long as I've been old enough to be in business by myself, and that is about 15 years. And I've learned a lot about driving qualified traffic to a website, converting that traffic into customers, leads, fans, followers, and search engine optimization is one of my favorite topics to discuss because it's extremely powerful when you get it right. Now, I know there's a lot of speculation and a lot of theory and a lot of conceptual ideas going around about search engine optimization and about SEO. So I do my absolute best to provide you with data and use facts rather than just pontificate about theory and make believe kind of stuff. I want to give you stuff that is actionable, that you can apply to your business, and that you can either do yourself or have somebody on your team do, or hire somebody to do. But you need to know what it is that you need to do in order to be successful with any kind of marketing, but especially search engine optimization. So a little bit about me, and just to give you kind of a quick overview of what we're going to talk about. We're going to go through a presentation that I've created, and we're going to talk a lot about Google and kind of what Google's looking for, what amounts to high rankings in the search engines for any type of website, really. So I break it down into the commonalities between different types of content, different types of media, different types of things that that Google's looking for depending on the nature of the search query, and the end goal ultimately being to rank at the top of the engine. There's a lot of ways to be positioned at the top of the engine. You can pay to be there, and a lot of us do that, right? A lot of us spend money with Google. It's called pay-per-click, Google AdWords, and there's a lot of ways to position yourself in front of qualified traffic. But like I said before, search engine optimization is one of my favorite ways to do that, largely because once you do the work and once you achieve the result, you can maintain that position, and you technically no longer have to pay for it other than staying on top of search engine optimization, and it becomes a very lucrative source of traffic depending on your website model and your revenue model on your website, which is probably a whole different webinar, which maybe we'll do someday. But anyway, so why don't I go through it, go through the presentation, and then we can open it up for Q&A afterwards, and I'll see you on the other side. So let me just let me pull up my presentation here, and I'm going to assume you guys can see it. I'll probably get a text from the SIMA guys if something's going wrong. So do let me know if there's ever anything that isn't going right. If you can't hear me, or if you can't see what I'm talking about, then please, by all means, let me know so that I can pause and revert and fix it. So we're gonna be cracking open the Google treasure chest. Really is kind of how I like to refer to it. But before we do, I need you to know that I'm not Google, and I do not work for Google. What I'm going to be showing you is simply a compilation of data findings based on lots and lots of research across many different sites. We work with hundreds and hundreds of sites at my firm, which I'll talk about in a second. But what I'm going to be talking to you about is conclusions drawn from lots and lots of research, lots of testing, lots of practice, lots of real-world application. And so anyways, don't be confused. I do not work for Google. Okay, moving right along. So an obvious question is, why are you here? Obviously, if you're on this call, you're in some way related to the SIMA organization. If so, that's great. If not, welcome. But if you are, you're more than likely here because you're a shaper, a manufacturer, a retailer, or possibly have an editorial business or some other form of business, and you're affiliated in surf, and you probably have an interest in achieving more results from internet. So ultimately, we want to help you gain new opportunities to grow your business, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about. So why am I here? As I mentioned before, I've been doing digital marketing for about 13 years. I am an SEO consultant and advisor to many organizations, and I speak nationally. I'm an entrepreneur of my own. And just to give you a little bit of background, I grew up with my father, Sean Collins, who founded surfline.com and WaveTrack 30 years ago. It's actually the 30th year anniversary this year. And I've always been, I guess, blessed or privileged to be able to witness entrepreneurial type mindset when, approaching, pursuing a passion. And Surfline is nothing short of an extremely technical operation. And so I've always been slightly digitally inspired, if you will. And about 15 years ago, I took it upon myself to start launching my own businesses. So I've always launched e-commerce stores today, still in existence. And once I got pretty good at it, I started to offer my services and help to other organizations, and that was about 8 years ago. And ever since then, it's been a real joy. My passion is ultimately helping people achieve results through the internet and through all the different marketing options there. And it's turned into a fun little exercise for me to be able to speak and educate. And that's what I guess I'm here to do today. So some of my example clients, you probably recognize a few of them here, and I'm only showing you this just to kind of know, that this isn't the stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you isn't just, it isn't just me like working out of a Starbucks and putting together some slides and thinking I'm knowing what I'm doing with Google and the internet. It's been applied to many different very real businesses, and I have the privilege of working in hundreds of different industries, literally. And my firm has served over 1,000 clients in the last few years. So these are just, I don't know, I just cherry picked a few of these and put them up here just so that you can kind of get a perspective on the level of work, the level of information that we're going to be talking about. So as I mentioned, search engine optimization is one of my favorite ways to grow a business. And the reason being is because search engines like Google and Bing and Yahoo are these very powerful, very useful tools that people use to go online and search for things that they're looking for. And you're probably saying, okay, yeah, obviously that's what they do. They're search engines. Well, the way that I think about it is there are hundreds and thousands of people going to those engines, raising their hand for specific products and specific services, many of which you are very likely offering in your business model, whether you're manufacturing that product, selling it out of your retail store, doing an editorial piece about, that maybe you're doing a product review or you're covering an event. People are going to the search engines to research, to review, to shop, to get more information. And when you put your business in front of that traffic, it's like planting a windmill in a valley full of wind, and it has the ability to power your business. It's just a matter of defining exactly where to position yourself in front of what stream of traffic so that you can most successfully and efficiently scale and grow. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. So just some general information about search engines and consumer behavior. There are over 1.5 billion searches per day taking place on Google. That is a lot. That is like, you know, that's like 100 Super Bowls taking place, you know, on Google and on YouTube. There's a lot of search demand. 55% of all searches are performed with an intent to buy. That means that 800 million people per day are going to Google trying to buy something, which means they're typing in product phrases, they're typing in keywords with shopping intent, they're looking for a price, they're looking for, you know, they're looking for a specific model of something or a version of something, and that's a lot of demand. 97% of people with online access will research products and services before they purchase anything. So, you know, if you have a retail store or you're a manufacturer, it behooves you to make sure that you have lots and lots of opportunity that you're taking advantage of when people are going to the internet to find out more about whatever it is you sell. So now we're going to talk a little bit about search engines and how they work. Obviously, these are the three major ones: Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Ultimately, they, sorry, let me unclick that. Ultimately, they serve one major purpose, which is to correctly answer questions. Those questions are user search queries. A user search query could be like a, you know, affordable wetsuit, or men's spring suit wetsuit, or shortboard surfboard with future fins, right? These are all questions that people are asking, and the search engines have this primary purpose of correctly answering those questions. If they didn't correctly answer these questions consistently and reliably, they would fail as a business model. So they have to be very good at answering those questions. And we're going to talk today about exactly how you can produce content and optimize your site so that Google serves you up as the answer to those questions. So an important thing to understand about search engines, and particularly Google, is that they index many types of content. There are many different types of media content, digital or otherwise, and digitally, the search engines can score, rank, and index and serve all kinds of different content like videos, images, news stories. They can even index PDF files, presentations, flight information, restaurant menus. They can even index and serve mobile applications now as a search result. So what we're entering is what we call an era of universal search. And I know the slide just got really busy on you, but let me walk you through it. The era of universal search simply means this. Google and the other engines are going to serve a variety of types of media for any given search query. And if you look at some of the search queries surrounding your business, I guarantee you will see different types of media. You're going to see blogs, you're going to see product sites, you might see some local businesses, you might see a video, you might see images, you might see some news stories, you might see all different types of media. And there's a reason I'm bringing this up to you, and I'll explain it in just a second, but this example right here is an example of the word tsunami. Okay, it's a very broad term, but we deal with broad terms in our business. Maybe not tsunami for this particular industry, but it's a good example of how Google is serving up a variety of types of media. So in this search, you're going to see a government listing, a Wikipedia result, a YouTube video, news listings, images, a restaurant, weather station, a museum, in-depth articles, and some social media properties down there. So as you can see, that's a very holistic view of all the different types of content that are available for this particular search query. And it falls back to this thing called query deserves diversity. And I know I'm using these query terms and all this, all this type of stuff. It's super nerdy, and I realize that, and I'm trying to make sure that we keep it watered down and real simple to understand. The definition of that, the meaning of that, is that Google draws a conclusion about a search query and decides whether or not the results deserve a diverse set of answers. What they know is that a video might answer a search query better than a blog post, and a PDF file might answer a search query better than a video. And sometimes there deserves to be a diversity. So the tip here is understanding exactly what types of media types are most relevant and most useful to users in your industry. You know, if you have a product, maybe, you know, images and text and video, and, you know, maybe there's you know, I think you get the point. You can research what types of media are showing up for the given searches that are likely taking place around your business, your brand, or your products, and then determine what types of media are relevant to your business. And that'll come into play in just a second. Search engines do love rich media. They really enjoy the fact that they can now take guesses at what images are. They can actually use image recognition technology to determine what types of images are being used on a site. They can take guesses on what videos are about. They can automatically machine generate transcriptions to videos. They can certainly read text and PDFs, and they're getting, you know, into slideshows and things like that. And they love these types of media because it makes them more effective as an engine, and they're much more capable of satisfying users by being able to read and understand what this media is. So how does this all work together, and how does SEO work specifically? There are two main components to search engine optimization. There's what we call on-page factors, and these are things that happen on your site, and off-page factors, which are things that happen off your site. And most people focus primarily on the on-page factors, and these are, you know, things like your site design, your website text, your code, your meta information, and things like that. Your URL structures, those are the page structures of your site, the navigation. Most people think that that's where SEO begins and ends. And it is true that without that, you cannot really succeed with SEO, certainly not in the level that you would desire to from an SEO strategy, or, you know, in terms of tapping the entire opportunity of the marketplace. However, there's this whole world of things that take place off of your website that contribute to organic rankings. And it makes sense because, let's face it, you and I can both build beautiful websites. We could both build an e-commerce store that sells wetsuits and surfboards and rash guards and t-shirts and, you know, beach umbrellas. And, you know, your store might be beautiful, my store might be beautiful. We might have similar domain names, similar brand names. We carry all the same products. How does Google or the other search engines, how do they determine which is the best resource? What is the most trusted site? What is going to be most useful to the user? So what they do is they use hundreds of signals off of the website to determine who the most trusted resource is. And we're going to go into a bit of the off-page factors after we go through some on-page. So on-page optimization, it really breaks down into three major pillars. There's the technology that goes into your website, the content, and the visitor behavior. Technology has to do with your site speed, the quality of your code. This is web developer stuff, you know, webmaster stuff. The content has to do with text, images, what sort of information you're providing on your site, and then visitor behavior, which is not commonly looked at by most SEO professionals because they don't know to look at it, they don't know that Google's looking at it. But a fact of the matter is that Google can see what takes place with user behavior on your site. If it's not with the Google Analytics that you've installed, it's through the Chrome browser, or they're drawing conclusions based on what they're seeing users do when they land on your site from the search engine, whether or not they click back. They have all kinds of data sharing relationships with other internet browser companies. So one way or another, Google has the information about visitors and what they do on your website. And we're going to talk about what matters relating to that too. But these are all things, again, that take place on your site. So on-page optimization, you've seen probably by now, you could spend a week on the internet and see 1,000 different types of page layouts. There's so many ways to design websites. There's beautiful ways, there's ugly ways. There's, it's up to creativity, it's up to imagination. You can position images, content, or just text or nothing. You can do pretty much whatever you want, but pages that are full of rich media are performing very well in search. And you've probably seen some websites that resemble a similar structure to this, where they have, it's an article, an editorial piece, and there's some form of, video media, there's several images, there's maybe another video, there's text, there's internal links, there's maybe some downloadable resources, there's, a photo feed, there's, related stories, related articles and things like that. There's a PDF that you can download, a white paper or something like that. That's what we call, and this is just a diagram, but that's what we call a information-rich, a media-rich site. And by incorporating more media types into a page, you are essentially giving the user more of an opportunity to be satisfied. And when search engines like Google crawl and read and try to determine what's on this page, they're going to see all this rich media, and your chances of achieving a top ranking with a page like this, provided that all the other optimizations are in place, your chances of performing very well with this type of site or page is going to be much greater. So in terms of technology, there are a lot of caveats, if you will. You have to have a really good site architecture. You have to have very optimized website code. If your site was built 5 years ago, it's probably outdated. If all your images are using 123-8.jpg, then that's not very information rich. Google can't determine what that image is, and you're making it more difficult to you're not providing as much descriptive information in there. The quality of your text is really important. The language you use, the semantics, your site architecture, for example, the way that your pages are linked together. There's a lot of things that go into having a good optimized website, and whoever's designing or developing your site really needs to be focused around quality. And if you don't know how to check their work and determine whether or not their work is up to par, you should probably get a second opinion. There's a lot of people that can help in terms of site quality and site code, and from a layout and text quality and a content quality standpoint, you could probably determine that yourself. There's other little elements that a lot of people don't really consider when it comes to search engine optimization, but it has to do with static quality elements, things like an About Us page or a policy page or a Contact Us page. It's all about trust and verifiability with Google specifically. And if you don't have pages on your site that indicate that you're a real business, for example, a customer service phone number, an address, if you're an e-commerce store, you need to have a shipping policy. You need to have security settings on your site so that people are safe to shop there. A privacy policy to discuss how people's information will be protected if you're using any kind of forms or collecting any user information, things like that. There's a lot of just quality guidelines that that you need to consider for a healthy website. And these are actually called the Google Website Quality Guidelines. And you can refer to the Webmaster Tools area with Google, or the I think it's called the Search Console now. They tend to like to rename their products every year, it seems. As far as on-page technology, sorry, freezing here. There's some performance metrics that are really important. Site speed is probably the one and most important technology performance metric that you can consider. And there's a big reason for that. And that is because site speed impacts how users interact with your site. It influences the user experience of your site, which, if you remember, Google can see that information and wants to make sure that your users are having a positive experience. So there's ways to do this. There's things you can do in the website code, making it what we call clean. That's like making sure there's not a bunch of extra junk in there. For example, styling codes and things like that. Managing files and resources on the site is important. For example, you can have very high resolution images, or they can be formatted for the internet, which would make your site faster. Having something like a content delivery network, you've probably heard of this by now if you're in web development, but it's a way to serve up content from another server, and it makes it very fast. And there's other things on the hosting and server configuration level that you can also do, like site page caching and things like that, so that they don't have to reload every time it's actually served into your browser and things like that. So there's a lot of fun server level tricks that you can do to improve the performance of your website. And this is very much a developer slide right here, and it's in no way a complete reference guide for cleaning up your site speed or your site code, but I can recommend that if you do have a developer working on making your site faster, have them go to a site called GT Metrics. I think it's .com. If you just Google GT Metrics and then check your site speed, it'll give you a full list of all the things that they're scoring you against, and they'll give you a grade. And fair warning, if you go put your site in there and you see a big F grade, well, don't be alarmed. Most websites don't measure up very well. So it's just a matter of getting your developer, or getting somebody from, whoever works for you, or somebody from our team to help you clean this stuff up. And it really does dramatically impact the performance of your site. As far as technology goes, you got to take a holistic approach to optimizing the website with the technical parameters. It's become apparent for us that are paying attention in the search engine optimization space that meeting certain technical standards with a website is a prerequisite for getting on the first page of Google. It just is. If you are failing a site speed test with G metrics, you're probably not going to perform very well in search. If your pages contain a bunch of broken code or outdated code from 8 years ago, you're just probably not going to perform very well. So make sure that everything's up to standard. If you need a new website, or somebody to tune it up, that might be necessary. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. Okay. So moving on to content. SEO content is really important because, text content is really what we're talking about here. In a study that was done by a group called Search Metrics, they analyzed 10,000 search queries across the top 10 ranking URLs for all those search queries. And on average, they were able to determine that the average length of text was about 975 words. So that's about 2 times what most bloggers think they're supposed to write. That's about 2 times as much text content as what most press releases are being sent out as. So lengthen your content, write longer information, focus on in-depth topics where you can cover, a full story or a full perspective on something, a well-rounded approach. Think holistically about writing information for the web. Make sure it's a valuable resource. Ask yourself, if I were a search engine, would this be the page that I would serve up to users on this topic? Is it comprehensive? Does it have everything that it should have in there? Also interesting was that on average, those sites or the pages that ranked had an average of 130 internal links. And so that basically means that there was a lot of linking going on within that text. There was a lot of linking going on throughout the site in general. This basically means that bigger sites are doing better. Okay. Using images within your content can be very powerful as well. What we also found is that pages with more original images rank higher in Google. And original is really what should be underlined there. More of them, yes. More images, the better. We've actually done some tests that suggest that somewhere between 5 and 7 images is a sweet spot for editorial content. Performing very well. Now, original images, this means that they haven't been found anywhere on the internet before. This means that you didn't pull it off of Pinterest or Facebook or your manufacturer's website. This means it's original image content. You want to make sure that you format the file name with a keyword optimized phrase, like on the right here. Separated with dashes is the best way to do it. Don't underscore, separate your words with dashes. For example, you might have an image for Wetsuits Buyer's Guide 2015, and all those words are separated with hyphens and .jpg or whatever. Alt text is something that I also suggest you optimize for. This is a website code feature. It's when you upload an image to the website or your content management solution or your e-commerce store, you usually have an option for what's called alt text. This is short for alternative text. You basically need to put in additional keyword phrases in there because it's another way to label an image and describe exactly what that is. A lot of e-commerce platforms auto-generate this stuff from the product name or from the file name that you uploaded. For example, if you have a skateboard or a surfboard or a pair of flip-flops and it's in your store and you upload an image that just says f-123.jpg, that's not an optimized file name. Google, from that file name alone, cannot determine what that image is. They have to use all kinds of other technology, and you're making them work too hard, and so they're not liking you. Now, alt text is another way to descriptively define what that image is. And surrounding text around those images is also important and becomes a major factor in image search. So if you were to surround images with the words relating to the product, keeping it natural, of course, you don't want to stuff your pages or your site with unnecessary keyword repeats and things like that. I'm feeling like maybe I should just talk about what a keyword is. A keyword is a search term. This is a word that somebody searches for on Google. So let's say they type in Wetsuits Buyer's Guide. That's a search term. That's a keyword phrase. Women's flip-flops orange. That's a keyword phrase. Men's surfboard thruster. That's a keyword phrase, okay? As far as content goes, there's this thing called Google Hummingbird. It's yet one more animal that Google has introduced to the zoo of animals that they like to see. Google likes to create these formulas for ranking websites, and they often label them after zoo animals for whatever reason. There's panda, there's penguin, there's now hummingbird, and there's definitions for each of them, but the reason I'm bringing up hummingbird is because it has a lot to do with text and a lot to do with content and a lot to do with user behavior, specifically user intent. What the user is intending to research is what Google is trying to guess. And if you produce an article that looks like this top image here, that's just kind of dry, it's outdated, there's nothing that informative there, it's not written very well, there's just, I don't know, just nothing that useful there. They don't really, a hummingbird doesn't want to go around there. It's like a, garden of dead weeds. However, if you create a very rich, informative, semantically balanced, well-written, borderlining on, poetic but personable, utilizing copywriting yet data and references and things like that, you're going to create an article or a page that is very informative. It's very comprehensive, and that is the type of thing that Google Hummingbird looks for, because they're looking for content that potentially answers a variety of user intentions. Now, visitor behavior matters because Google specifically has always relied on user feedback to improve the quality of their results. They do this in the pay-per-click engine. They do this on AdWords. They will determine where you rank, not only by your bid on the AdWords platform, but how many times people click your ad. So Google will improve the quality of their paid ad results based on click behavior. They know that if somebody's clicking one ad more times over another, they will reward the ad that's getting more clicks. Same thing goes with organic search. Same thing goes with websites. Now, the interesting thing is that what we think users are doing on our website isn't always what they're doing. What users actually do is what Google sees and is what they care about. So to that effect, there's a lot of things you can do, which I'll give you an example of things that you can do to improve your visitor behavior in a second. These are the things that matter the most, though. The click-through rate from the SERPs. SERPs are search engine results pages. That's what that means. The click-through rate is how many times people are clicking your listing on the search results page. So let's say you rank number 5 in Google for your keyword phrase. The number of times people click your listing versus another is what's called the click-through rate. This is often influenced by the position of the listing, the title tag of the page, what you say in the title of your page, the URL, so what's written in the URL that users can see, and then the meta description, which is the snippet of text that you are granted the opportunity to display in the search results. And this is kind of like a little advertisement, but it needs to be optimized in such a way that it's keyword driven, it's concise, it's focused around the topic or the product or the content, the nature of what it is you have on the destination page. And it also needs to be thought of as an opportunity to get a user to click into your site, because if you're number 5 and you're getting more clicks than number 4, you're very likely to increase that position. Now, don't throw out your optimizations for the sake of trying to get that click, because it's still important to satisfy the mathematical engine rather than the abstract engine, if you will. You want to make sure that you're staying optimized. Now, time on site is basically the amount of time that people spend on your site viewing pages or shopping or whatever it is. This can be influenced by content length, how much text you have, how long does it take to read an article. 100 words is not going to take very long. 975 words and 10 images, they're going to consume that content. Now, provided that it's good content, maybe they'll stay, maybe they'll see another page they want to view within that amount of time and continue on throughout your site. Now, additional resources are another way to get users to stay longer. Media placements, for example, having a video, 60-second videos, if made correctly, is almost a guarantee of getting that person to stay longer than a minute. And then conversion, how well is your conversion optimized on your site? The other factor here is bounce rate from the SERPs, or back to the SERPs rather. So let's say somebody clicks on your listing in position number 5, they take a glance at what you have, they don't like it, they immediately go back within 11 seconds is the criteria. But let's say they immediately go back to the search engine to continue searching for what it is they're looking for. This is called a bounce rate. The higher your bounce rate, the less Google is going to continue considering you for the position they've put you in. So it's really important to make sure that the content and the site layout and the media that you use and everything that you say and do on your website supports a strong click-through rate, a strong time on site, and avoids a bounce rate at all costs. So there's a lot of things you can do to improve visitor experience. You need to understand you need to start with a strong understanding of your search engine environment, okay? The industry that you're in. What are other people doing? What types of media are they using? What types of media is Google rewarding? What do users seem to be looking for a given search phrase? And then you can use analytics software. You can use Google Analytics. You can use other eye tracking type software like crazyegg.com. That's a good, affordable heat map type solution that allows you to take snapshots of your pages and see where users are clicking as a heat map sort of a thing. You can use user testing communities like usertesting.com. They will actually send real people through your site with an objective, and they will record those people. Those people are basically, they've signed up to talk out loud about what they're experiencing on your website. And we've heard some of these recordings, you guys, and it is unbelievable. The experience people have on a site that you think is well optimized and explains exactly what it is you want them to do and has everything you think it needs. These people just, they get, and they're not, it's not like they're uneducated people or not non-internet savvy people. They're your average people, and what you think is going on your website is most definitely not always going on for every person. And it's very interesting to see and hear. So you want to make sure you're tracking, testing, and implementing changes. These images here with the baby and the headline and the diapers, this was a conversion optimization test that we did for a diaper company. And this was a major landing page for a very large pay-per-click campaign, hundreds of thousands of dollars going into advertising. And you'll notice the heat map when the baby was facing towards the monitor or towards the user, looking right at the user, the person as a human being is drawn to look at the baby's face, which is what we're programmed to do. We look at faces. But when we rotated the baby sideways, focusing on the headline, we were able to get a lot more attention on the headline. And this was a $100,000 a month lift on this particular campaign in terms of revenue. So conversion optimization has its place, and it's very valuable. And you can have great SEO rankings, you can have great traffic systems, traffic generation solutions, but if your visitor optimization funnels are not in place, there could be a lot of opportunity, a lot of money left on the table. So make sure that you are implementing user signals. That doesn't really make sense, does it? But make sure you're optimizing your site for user experience, because it's crucial. On average, across those 10,000 search queries that our partner firm analyzed, 101 second time on site was the average. That's pretty good. That's longer than a minute. That means people definitely weren't just hanging out for 20 seconds or 30 seconds. They were at least 63% of them were hanging out for longer than 100 seconds. The bounce rate on average was 37%. Now that might seem a little bit high, but if you think about how many pages are out there and what people do, and just look at your own behavior. How many sites do you land on and then leave from? On average, 37% was a reasonable bounce rate. Okay, so switching over to the off-page SEO view. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I really don't know So I'm assuming that you are all still listening intently, waiting for the next slide to appear. But I'm just going to go through it, and hopefully, if you ever need to go back through this information, it'll live on the SIMA site indefinitely, they've promised me. So you can comb back through it, and if anything ever doesn't make sense, you can always reach out to me directly or my team. So off-page SEO, this is where a lot of the magic can happen. Excuse me. So the bottom of the iceberg, what really goes on under there? How big is it? What matters? What doesn't? There's three major categories of off-page optimization. One is inbound links. Another is social activity. Another is brand visibility. Now remember, we're talking about signals external to the website. These are not things taking place on your site, in your store, in your shopping cart, on your blog, in your news feed. These are things taking place outside of your domain. So not on yourdomain.com. Off-page optimization. How do you go about convincing Google that you're more trusted than your competitor? How do you convince a robot that's powered by the most advanced math in the world? How do you convince them that your site is to be trusted? Well, for one, you have to have other websites voting for you. That's essentially what a link is. You have to have social activity as something like social proof. And now what we've actually found is that Google specifically loves brands. And if you can convince Google you're a brand that's relevant and authoritative in a particular vertical, you get a lift. And a lot of times, a lot of these other factors can fall away as being seemingly less important, depending on your brand cred, if you will. So let's dive into some of the linking stuff. Okay, so just so everybody fully understands what linking is, it's like a voting campaign, really. When a politician is campaigning for office, they have to get votes, and your website needs votes. Your website needs votes from other sites, and there's so many different types of votes you can get. There's links from editorial pieces on other blogs. You can do content marketing. You can publish articles. You can launch a press release. Now, a press release with no link back to your site, well, you're missing an opportunity to link, essentially vote for your site. Now, think about where that press release might go. If a popular local news site picks that up, OC Register, New York Times, maybe a big one like CNN, you never know. A link from one of those domains is extremely powerful. That's like a very powerful vote, right? Not all votes are created equal. So it's important to know that. I could create 10, meaningless blogs tonight and link to another site with them, and it's not going to mean anything. It's not going to be very, it's not going to be like, a big announcement, really. However, if a site like CNN links to my site, then that's extremely powerful. We actually have ways of getting links from CNN, which, anyway, lots of other stuff that we'll talk about later. But other types of links can be social engagement. It's like when somebody shares your site on Facebook, when people mention your site on Twitter, sharing the actual page of the site. These are signals pointing to your domain. If there's a URL in the content and it's on another site and it links to you, as in I could click it and land on your website, that's essentially a vote. Now, brand visibility has to do with verification, reviews, searches, and things like that. We'll talk about that. Okay, so what are the major ranking factors relating to links? And we talk a lot about ranking factors at our firm because we want to know what things within the linking bucket matter, right? We don't want to just go and focus on getting links that don't matter. If we can determine exactly what types of links have the most power, essentially give us the most lift, we want to focus on those. So the link source is really important. Link source and relevancy is critical. For example, if I have a surfing blog and I'm, writing product reviews and things like that, and I go get, a doctor website to link to me, and it's a small local, a local doctor in my hometown, and their business just links to me, that's doesn't really sync up. That's not, the source really doesn't vet my surfing blog, right? It's not relevant. It's not authoritative, right? However, if I were to go get a link from, say, like Surfline or the Inertia or some other big editorial site, maybe SIMA, you probably you probably noticed the link that I got on the webinar page. You want a relevant link, all right? Something that votes for you. The more relevant, the more credibility you have. Now, link quantity is a big factor as well. How many links you have versus your competitor is also good, but remember, you have to focus on quality. You can't just go build 10,000 meaningless pages on, a bunch of silly websites and have them all linked to you and expect those to really count for anything. The total number of referring domains is important too. So it's not just links counted, it's number of individual sites. I would much prefer 10 different sites linking to me than 10 pages from one site. News domains are very powerful. Same country links are also very appropriate and useful. New backlinks, which, by the way, backlinks also means links. Hopefully you figured that out by now. New backlinks, the appearance of new links is a good signal as well. For example, if Google's looking at your, what we call link profile, your vote profile, if they're not seeing new links or new votes to your website, they're going to wonder what's up. Maybe your website's not important anymore. Maybe there's no new information there. Maybe there's nobody new in the game vetting for what it is you offer on that domain. Also, on the contrary, aged backlinks are really important too. So links that have been around for a while. Let's say you have a link from an editorial blog to your e-commerce store, and you've had that link for 5 years. Do everything you can to keep that link. In fact, have them update it. Say, hey, would you mind also adding a link to this product page? Those are really powerful links because it's like they're sustainable. Also, the anchor text, what those links say about your website is also informative to the search engines as well. And we could probably do a whole session on anchor text, simply because it's a careful science. Here's what I recommend on anchor text. Do not think in terms of keywords. Think in terms of conversation. If you're writing an article and it's going to be published on somebody else's blog or somebody else's website, or let's say you're doing a press release, link conversationally. Don't find an opportunity to just stuff keywords in links. In fact, overdoing keywords in your backlinks can actually harm your website, because Google looks at that as a manipulation tactic. So just ignore keywords. You can just use conversational text, throw words in there that don't even really need to be in the link, but are just because you wanted to make it useful to the users. And you can also link with just your URL or just your domain or your brand. That's always safe too. Link sources, we talked a lot about this: relevancy, variety, trust, strength, location, randomization, and evolution. Who is voting for you? Make sure you have link relationships with other websites so that you can be trusted. It's all about trust and validity. Number of backlinks is very important. This graph here shows the number of backlinks on the left side, and horizontally, the Google position in relation to the number of backlinks the positions had. So in the first column there, you can see that on average, the first ranking sites had over 6,000 backlinks. That's a lot. The second ranking site or page had over 2,500 links. That's also a lot. And then it drops down and down and down and down. So as you can see, linking is very important, and there's a strong correlation to top rankings in Google as it pertains to backlinks. News sites, we talked a bit about this. Publishing press releases is a great opportunity to get very trusted links pointing to your domain. We have a proprietary PR platform that we built specifically for SEO purposes. It's Google News approved, and we push press releases out probably 20 to 30 per day here at our firm. And we do a lot of other creative things like video press releases. We have a partner who does these really creative video press releases in a newsroom type of thing. And they basically read your press release and distribute that out across tons of social channels and content syndication networks and things like that. And these can be extremely powerful for link generation as well. Social signals. So I touched briefly on what a social signal is and the fact that it's a ranking factor, but what the heck is it? Essentially, it's when your website gets shared socially. This is like a Facebook post. Somebody shares your website on their Facebook timeline or in their feed. It's when somebody likes your page or writes a comment on a post where your page is shared. It's when somebody tweets your page or retweets the page that was originally tweeted, or even a tweet reply, all the signals relating to that particular instance where your website was shared on the social platform. Pinterest is also a great platform to generate social signals, the Pinterest pin, if you will. And when that pin of an image, those of you who know what Pinterest is, you know, you pin images to Pinterest. Normally that carries a link back to wherever you pinned it from. And that link is a signal that Google can see. Every repin and every favorite of that original pin carries a signal back to your site. Very good for SEO. We leverage Pinterest like crazy in some of our campaigns, especially for e-commerce. Google Plus posts, reshares, and comments, same sort of thing. Your website shared to the social channel, and you know, the signals are carried back. So here's an example of somebody sharing a women's, you know, Nike shoes page on Facebook. It basically shares the website, it pulls the image, it carries a link. All three things are linked here: the image, the shoe, the headline of the page, and the subdomain there. So some important stats on social signals are here. On average, across 10,000 analyzed search queries, the top 10 ranking URLs averaged over 1,600 Facebook signals. That's a lot of Facebook signals. That means that a page was shared a lot of times and got a lot of engagement and a lot of, you know, comments and a lot of likes and things like that. That's a total aggregate of Facebook signals. So that's likes, shares, comments, and things like that. So that's social validity. Somebody shared a page, you know, 1,690 times, people engaged with it. Same thing goes for Twitter. On average, 162 tweets, Google Plus, 143, and Pinterest, 36. So as you can see, these averages suggest not only that these social platforms are very powerful mediums for people to share content, but that they have a lot of weight. There certainly is a lot of correlation weighing into the ranking factor analysis here. So if you were to take the top 10 ranking pages across 10,000 different searches, and these are the numbers that you got, that's a pretty strong signal that social share data needs to be taking place around the pages that you want to perform well in search. Okay, so this is just an example of how we do some creative linking. I'll probably just breeze through this, but basically what we do is, let's say we have a brand new website. We'll go out and do some content marketing, and then we'll build lots of links to those publications that we do that link back to the site, and we create like a tiered sort of model. We'll use, commenting. We'll do bookmarking. We'll do all kinds of variations of content marketing and things like that, all for the sake of funneling authority all into the main site. And the reason being, you're only as good really as the links pointing to your links. The reason I wouldn't benefit much from creating 10 sites tonight that are brand new sites and using those as link sources. The reason that's not beneficial is because there's nothing linking to them. There's nothing linking to those sites, vetting that content, vetting that information. There's no authority on those sites. So how are they going to pass authority? It's the same reason CNN would be a powerful link for my site, because they have millions of websites linking to it. So we do a lot of creative things and spend time diagramming and mapping out these systems. But that's super nerdy stuff. We have to drink lots of black coffee and we sit around reading Google patents, just geeking out. It's really awesome. If you ever want to come hang out and like read a Google patent with us, or like, come do some like linking methodology stuff, you're totally welcome. Here's another big SEO suggestion. Be a brand. Google loves brands, and we're going to show you how to make sure that Google sees you as a brand. Big question though, what proves you're a brand? How can Google, a math program, a math formula, determine whether or not you are actually a brand? Well, you can go to Google and search the search term "make your brand social," and Google has some steps for you to follow to do that. That's step number one. But there's a lot of other opportunities here, like verified business listings. You can go and verify your business on tons of different local directories like Yelp and Bing and Google Places and all these other web directories and things like that. Having social profiles. Let's face it, if you're a business and you have a website and you want to be a brand, but you don't have an active Facebook page or a Google Plus page, or maybe a LinkedIn account or a Twitter account, it's less likely Google's going to label you as a brand or consider you for what we call the brand factor, which is something we strive for. And then on those social channels, you want to make sure you're doing consistent content creation. Okay, so I got a question from Clark regarding are actual URLs better to use on social platforms over shortened URLs? Well, that's a great question, Clark. I prefer the absolute URL, the true URL. And if and when it will fit in the social media post, it is better to use. And well, it's really what you prefer. I'll tell you my preference, and then I'll tell you the reality. My preference is to use the actual URL, primarily because I want my users to see where I'm sending them. I want my users to see what domain I'm sending them to. A lot of times, platforms like Twitter will automatically shorten the URL. Let's see, let's go back here. They'll automatically shorten the URL for you, and they're doing that under the hood in the code anyways. Either way, no matter how you put a shortened URL or a direct URL to the site or destination page, it's still going to follow what's called a 301 redirect. It's a 301 redirect, and it's typically a no follow link. And all that means is that it's not passing link authority in terms of link weight. And that's just a way for the search engines to know whether or not to dilute link authority on that given page. Now, to answer your question directly, without getting too off on a tangent about 301s and no follows, however you link it, is going to give you the signal that you're looking for. However, what I would check for is, for example, let's say you have a page or a product page, for example, and on that page you have little share buttons with counters that say, Facebook, and then a little bubble that says 3 or 8 or 27, and indicating how many times people have shared that page. If you are using a shortened URL, and I'll tell you which ones I recommend. If you're using a shortened URL, you're going to watch those counters on that page to make sure that those signals are being attributed to your page. Another way for you to check is by going to a site called sharedcount.com or .co. Just type in shared count and it'll actually let you put in a URL to check to see the total aggregate of shares. I might even be able to pull that up for you real quick. Let me see if I can. Okay. So let me see. Hey guys, hold on. All right. See this? Shared count, sharedcount.com. So anyway, all right, let me go back. Where do we go? There we are. All right. Where were we? Thanks for your question. Let's continue. There we are. What is Google telling your brand to do? So if you were to go to Google Plus brands and Google search, make your brand social, this is what Google's going to tell you to do. They're going to say, create a Google Plus page, complete your profile, verify your page and your vanity URL, get the Google Plus badge, and then link your YouTube channel to your page. So that's a pretty strong indicator that Google wants you to have a YouTube channel. So how do you find the right help, though, for an SEO company? There's a lot of things that we've covered today, a lot of things which most SEO companies are probably not going to cover in any kind of initial conversation or consultation. Certainly not going to be talking about social signals as ranking factors and user experience as a ranking factor and things like that. So you already have a lot to know who you should be talking to about search engine optimization, or at least to be able to vet your provider and make sure that they're giving you what you should be getting in terms of the right help for your business. If they're not talking about site speed and all these types of things, there's a lot that might be missing from that equation. So the best way that I can help you gauge whether or not you're working with the right SEO company is to kind of go through some of our processes and just basically highlight some of the things that we do. If you were to choose to work with us, you will benefit from all these things. If you don't, I would encourage you to make sure that you're getting some sort of a similar thing so that you're in good hands. And the reason I say that is because there is a lot of myth and a lot of theory and a lot of empty promises and things that go on in the world of search engine optimization. And it's unfortunate. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that people just don't know how it works. So they can be sold a lot of different things, a lot of different solutions, a lot of different promises can be made, but people don't really get it. There's a technical barrier to understanding how it works. Also, I think that a lot of well-intended SEO companies just can't keep up with the changes. I think that a lot of maybe once formerly effective SEO firms have kind of fallen off the map. I certainly know dozens of them who now outsource a lot of their work to us because they can't keep up with the radical Google shifts and things like that. So anyway, I'm giving you some context here. I'm all about the integrity aspect of the industry and just want to highlight some of our processes, I guess. So at any given level of an SEO campaign, we always do a very in-depth keyword research process. Discovery process. And this is to make sure we understand your business, your history, your goals. We want to understand your full scope of your marketing and really understand who your customers are, who your audience is. If your SEO company doesn't do this, they're not going to be effective at optimizing your site, maintaining your brand voice. They're not going to be effective at doing keyword research and making sure that they're setting the right targets for traffic generation and things like that. After the discovery process, we have a strategy meeting where everybody kind of huddles. All of our lead people meet with your lead people, and we talk goals and strategy and execution and next steps. It's a great opportunity to create some cohesiveness between parties. A lot of other SEO companies will just kind of put you in an account number, and then you get a customer service person, and then you kind of get lost in the shuffle. And we don't really go about it like that. SEO is a very robust, intricate process. We need to be involved. That being said, we are capable of taking a campaign and just running with it for those who just want it handled. We have to do that all the time. And the reason we can do that is because we have department specialization. We have dedicated people that handle specific marketing initiatives and can begin executing those plans independently. Throughout our team of 35, we have people that are in place to handle various aspects. We have people in place to do PR. We have people in place to do on-site optimization and web development and content writing and a whole link building team. We have a very large link building and content marketing team that does all that stuff. If one SEO person were to take on all the aspects of this, it'd be a very slow process and it would cost a lot of money. So we're able to be 10 times more effective that way. So if you're talking to an SEO company and they don't have multiple departments of specialization working on this, then there might be something falling a little bit short. Keyword research is a very critical part of the process because it's kind of the little hinge that swings the big door of opportunity for your business. For example, if you choose the wrong keywords and optimize for the wrong keyword sets, you might end up with traffic but no sales. You might end up with only 10 visitors instead of 10,000. There's a lot of consideration that goes into the keyword research process and a lot of involvement by you too, because we want to make sure that the keywords fit the model that you're going for. On-page optimization is critical. That's the tip of the iceberg. We have SEO technicians that specifically go through and comb through your site to make sure that all the optimizations are in place, all the criteria is met. We have very lengthy checklists of things that we check and know work. So we have to go through that and identify. It's like basically an audit. It's taking inventory. It's like a health checkup. We use a combination of automated tools as well as manual visual checks, multiple people, multiple layers of quality control. We report that before we ever go in and implement. We report what we found and recommend, and then we go implement. And again, I'm sharing all this so that you can draw a contrast or validate your existing provider, or if you choose to seek one. Now, off-page promotion is a very critical piece. It's the whole under the surface of the iceberg involving content marketing, PR strategy, social influencer outreach. We have very, very sophisticated processes to push content out onto the internet, get the social traction that is needed for SEO purposes, as well as a very strong PR department and proprietary tools, as I mentioned before. And there's a lot that goes into the content marketing side. I mentioned the PR. We've got a full team of veteran journalists who work on news story concepts, sending drafts for approval, never publishing anything without, editorial approval by you. Social media promotion. We've got a team that does all the social promotions throughout different communities that we've established and acquired for these specific purposes. And of course, reporting. We have to report on all the work that we're doing. One of the big things that I see in the SEO industry is reports that don't mean anything, or reports that really don't give you any useful metrics on growing your business. Reports that don't validate or verify that they've done any meaningful work for the website. It's something that I see a lot. So we do a lot of different reporting, keyword research reports, on-page reports, link building, PR, social, obviously ranking results. We have to show you the ranking results. We've got to show you positions in search, traffic, things like that. We have to show you full logs of all the work so that you know everything that's going into it. And even if you don't want them, we still inundate you with these reports. We have this secret agenda to make sure that you know that you can trust us, and also we want to educate you in the process. And we take a lot of pride in making sure that you're well informed. We also offer month-to-month campaigns. Now, most SEO companies are going to lock you into a 6-month or a 12-month contract, and it creates a lot of stress. You end up at month 3, banging on their door, where's my results? And you end up being like this guy in the image where you want to noose tie yourself, as opposed to an ongoing relationship that's month to month in nature, rather than a huge high risk commitment long-term without any kind of guarantee. We have to prove our work, improve our results, and earn your business every single month. And it's beneficial to you because we've got to earn it. Some other differences. I'm just going to breeze through these and then show you guys some examples of traffic, and then open it up for questions. Affordable programs. We have very affordable programs considering the level of work that we do. One of my missions in the SEO realm was to make sure that we could offer an extremely high quality service at a very affordable price, or at least at a level that was scalable or appropriate for any level of business. What I was seeing was that a lot of bigger companies were getting the best SEO work because they could spend $5,000 or $10,000 a month. We actually have some packages that start at $295 for small businesses or small retail, or simple starter campaigns just to kind of get the ball rolling and things like that. And we use a lot of those campaigns to trigger growth and scale over time. All of our staff is in here in the United States, in our offices here in Huntington Beach, California. As opposed to outsource work. A lot of firms outsource their stuff overseas and losing control and quality in the process. And with every campaign, we offer our entire team. So many people with lots of specialization, high touch dedication. Every person is dedicated to a specific piece and is well trained to deliver the result for that component. And the other thing that's here is that we have agency reliance, which means a lot of other SEO companies rely on us to fulfill for them. That I don't know how many other companies do that, but we have that ability, and we serve any size of organization, big or small. As I think you remember the client slide. So here's some examples of just traffic graphs. This is just me showing off traffic increases, but I got to show you something here. This is a Survival Life site that we built and launched. It's a user community relating to kind of preppers and DIY type stuff. Here's the traffic, by the way, went from basically zero 2 years ago to 46,000 unique organic visitors. This particular site does over 1 million in visitors per month, based on a lot of the other digital media that we're doing for them. And oops, let's see here. Civilized Caveman Cooking, pretty cool guy. He hold on a second. So Mike asked a question. I'm not sure what the context is of this question. It's what kind of ROI are you currently getting? It really depends on what context you're speaking, Mike. I would be happy to answer that. It depends on which area you're talking about, because ROI for a website it varies dramatically for every different business. An e-commerce store is going to be much different than a blog. The Survival Life site is, it's extremely lucrative because most of the products are digital, and we have people who are on editorial contracts producing content for us. There's reciprocity there. So I really don't know how to answer the ROI question, Mike. I'm sorry. But if you want to maybe rephrase or give me some context, I'd be happy to. So this is a paleo recipes cooking site. This is a guy who likes to cook holistic foods and in the paleo space. And as you can see, traffic is dramatically increasing. Salt Lake Comic-Con, we helped launch this brand. It was quick to take over and become the biggest Comic-Con in the United States. Surfline, as I'm sure you guys know. Anyway, we live in a very special time. Digital marketing gives us reach into the rest of the world like we never had before. Never has there been a time in history where we could target anyone on the internet anywhere based on demographics, based on user intent, based on what they're typing into Google, based on profiling and things like that. This type of environment for me creates a feeling of humility. It's just very special. We have options today in marketing that we never had before, and it represents opportunity, really. And there's many people who are understanding, comprehending, and taking advantage of those opportunities, as well as capitalizing on it and doing it very well. And competition. So with that opportunity comes competition, and if you are not taking advantage of these opportunities, then your competition very likely is. So what I would recommend is that you tackle and take advantage of every digital marketing opportunity that makes the most sense for you. I always vote for search engine optimization as a part of that tool set for growing your business or your brand. And I'd be more than happy to help you with that. I do offer consulting. I consult for teams, agencies, media firms, manufacturers, whoever. We also have a full team here that is available for hire or for anything that you need. We do everything: web design, development. We build mobile applications. We do social media. We do everything that I talked about in the video. We also do a lot of reputation management, controlling the search results for a brand. We can control the entire first page of Google based on universal search media and things like that. So if you didn't get my email from the bottom of the slides already, it's here. Tyler@ocseo.com. You can also go directly to ocseo.com or give me a call on my number there. And as I mentioned before, the link for the my website will always be on the SIMA site, and you can always just go back to the webinar series page and watch this video again and again and again until you understand what linking is and content and everything else that we've talked about. Or it's a way to find me. So anyways, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you're not sleeping on your desk right now. If it was a lot to handle, don't worry. Help is available. Give me a call. I'll be standing by. And thanks again for having me. And thank you to SIMA for putting on this awesome webinar series. Really much appreciated. Good luck, guys.